What if the way you arrange your home could increase your energy, decrease your stress, and even contribute to a longer, healthier life? In this video, we're going to be exploring practical tips for how you can bring Feng Shui into your daily life, no matter where you live or what stage of life you're in. Because Feng Shui isn't just about aesthetics. It's about creating harmony between you and your environment. And when it comes to aging, that balance is more important than ever. In this week's episode, I'm joined by Britt Olson, who's a friend of mine from high school that I actually reconnected with after I saw her hilarious video about Feng Shui on Instagram. And I don't think I've ever laughed so much during an interview. So tune in to this week's episode on Feng Shui for health and longevity. Welcome back to all of my subscribers, and in particular, my YouTube and AgeWiseU members. We've built an amazing community over the past 4 years of the podcast. If you're new to this channel, I'm Dr. MelissaBPhD, and I am a nurse and a nurse practitioner with nearly 30 years of experience caring for older adults and their families. If you'd like to join me for future podcast recordings, stay tuned to the end, and I'll tell you how to join me for these weekly live events. Welcome to this week's episode. I'm joined by Britt Olson, who's actually a friend of mine from high school. We reconnected through social media, and today we're going to be talking about Feng Shui for health and longevity. So welcome, Britt.
Thanks. Yeah. Hi. I'm super excited.
Before we get started, maybe you can just tell people, a little bit about yourself and how you got interested in Feng Shui.
Yeah, sure. I don't know if you remember this. My mom was a nurse, but she was also a realtor when we were growing up, and I would help her fix up places. And I did design and production in college and got really involved in design because I was a theater major. And then I always just kind of self-studied Feng Shui. I was really fascinated with it. I used to sit in the stacks at the library with just surrounded by books, and pre World Wide Web research days. And then I watched this movie, The Secret. I'm sure a lot of people have heard of it. And they had a big, there's Marie Diamond. I love her. She's into Feng Shui, and I started buying her books and learning more. And it's just always been something fun that I've done. And now I manage properties, and I use some of that when I design them for setup. And I've even worked with some of the owners to design their office to help bring a little bit more income in, and done presentations with some mastermind groups and friends. So it's just, it's always been a real passion of mine, and it's amazing what it can do. 33% of what's going to happen in your life is because of your environment. So there's 3 areas that can influence the outcome of your life, like how successful you are. One is just the way you're born, who you are, who your parents are, where you live, what your innate given talents are, your skills, just who you are. And that's not really that changeable. And the second one is everything we think is everything, is all the trying and the education and the doing and the planning and the organizing and the making stuff happen. That's only 33%. And then the other 33% is your environment, which is the easiest thing to change. So that is really exciting to me, to combine design with personal development. I'm sign me up. I'm all in. So.
Well, and what really caught my interest was you did a post on Instagram that was hilarious about, being in a romantic relationship and then changing one picture on the wall. But that whole video was just hilarious. So I got to give you props for that.
It was an absolute true story. Yep.
Yeah, but I was like, that's so super creative, just being into trying to make reels and videos. And then we actually had connected about maybe doing a dating after, 40 or 50 years old. But when we talked prior to this, I thought that the Feng Shui piece with the health and longevity would be pretty interesting and unique. And so this is going to be a fun kind of little interlude between some of the other content that I typically do.
Great.
So maybe just talk a little bit about kind of the origins of Feng Shui and how it relates to longevity.
Yeah, what's interesting is when people think about the art of Feng Shui and using it, it's always on their mind for wealth and for romance, and you can use it for that. But it actually originated way back in the day. The emperors of China, they would have a consultant to find them a piece of property that would be the best for maintaining the lineage of their bloodline to remain in power for as long as possible. And those factors were a fresh source of water for drinking and bathing, flowing air. So Feng Shui actually means wind and water. And so by having like that most desirable location would bring you like the best health. And so all of the other parts of Feng Shui were intended solely to improve the health and longevity of the emperors and their bloodline. So I always thought that was just so fascinating. And if that's what you want to use it for, that was its initial intention. So it's great. And a lot of it's just common sense, but it's so much fun. Yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say you have to be healthy in order to age well. And then the rest of it's just kind of icing on the cake between the wealth and the romance.
Yeah, exactly. Right. You get what good is romance if you just lay in bed, can't do anything, right?
Right.
Let's stay healthy.
Yeah. Exactly. So, well, this will be the podcast I've laughed on the most already. We were only 5 minutes in.
So good.
So, so you have like kind of three basic tips and different areas that you think we should focus on. So just like from a beginner's perspective, what are some kind of simple basic things you can do within your environment?
Yeah. And I want to give like a really general, easy overview, but also some actionable steps to make it fun so that people can do something. But it's important that you want to activate the most common areas of your home that you spend the most time in. And you want to think about your bedroom, your office, your living room, and the center of your home. It's kind of the heart of the home, like wherever everything converges is important as well. So just kind of keeping those areas in mind. Don't overthink it. That's the best part of Feng Shui. Just don't overthink it. Like it's an intuitive process. So, think about the areas you spend the most time in. And it's basically like you feel your energy come up or down. If you got a pile of clutter in the corner, every time you pass it, you kind of just feel it, right? So
Yeah.
clearing that out. So you just think about where you're spending most time and where you want to clear. And yeah, so also it's so important before you get started that you are decluttering an area. You really do want to get rid of piles of things. Now, if you look at your background, you've got like these beautiful stacks of books. Everything's arranged really neatly, nicely. It's very visually pleasing. So it soothes the eye and it energizes. And you've got like all of your diplomas behind you. And it says everything it needs to say. We know who you are. And it's just very uplifting. And it's got a very good energy. So that's what we're going for. And that's like an office professional space. So that's where that should be.
I will say too, after we first met, I did get Marie Diamond's book, and she actually has an app, and then the app, like you put information in and it tells you like your directions. And I do remember when I moved into this place saying to myself, okay, which side should my desk go on in this room? Like I knew it was going to be here. And this wall facing this direction is my success direction.
Oh, fantastic.
I went back and checked it and I'm like, okay, well, this is good. But the door is behind me. And so, I'm probably going to have
a little mirror up. Yeah.
Yeah. I need to put a
little
mirror up.
Yeah. So yeah, so there's fixes for everything. That's why I'm saying, like, don't take everything too seriously because it'll be like, oh my gosh, I have this wrong feature. It's like, you just be aware of all of the principles and then you adjust accordingly. It's fine. But yeah, I think I think everyone should download that app, the Marie Diamond app. And it finds your energy number and it gives you a compass. Instead of you can look it up and read it in the book, or you can Google it, but the app is free. And the compass spins in the direction, so you can actually hold your phone up and it's like, this is your relation direction. This is as you move around your space, and it shows you exactly. So it's so useful. But without even having to do any of that, let's go over some general things you can do in your areas for specifically health and longevity. So the first one is we're going to bring in the wood element, and that is plants. And I think that plants might be one of the best things you can do in Feng Shui. So you want like big, lush, green, healthy, vibrant plants, and never dried. Like if you have an old dried bouquet, out of sight, goodbye potpourri. Those days are over. Dead plants are a vacuum of life force. Fake plants are wonderful. I do not have a green thumb. I have one big giant plant over in the East Corner, right where I want it to be. It's perfect. And I have kept it alive. It's a miracle. I do water. It's the only plant I can keep alive. It's
Yeah,
very
well,
low
yeah,
maintenance.
we talked about this too after my first marriage ended. I was like,
Yeah, yeah.
I get all the fake plants and you can have the live ones, and I still have most of mine.
This is the only plant I kept because yeah, every time my ex-husband would come get the kids, he would like kind of peek in. And I knew he was looking at plants. I'm like, just go get it. Like, I'm going to kill them all. Go get them. And I
Trust me
just started
now.
giving him plants every time he came over. But I kept the one big one. But I have a lot of like fake trees and fake plants around. And I do like to have fresh flowers. I'll grab them at the grocery store. I like to keep fresh flowers. When they die, get them out.
Right.
But so another thing about you don't want like dull and spiky plants. You really want that lush green, like think ferns and money trees and big, nice green, juicy looking plants, because things that are spiky and gray, like cacti and different, century plants and stuff like that, it doesn't have that same life force. And you really want to have that nice, bright green energy and health. So that I think is the best for plants. The one little tip is plants not so much in the bedroom, because when you're decorating in the bedroom, when you are bringing the out of doors, like you don't want to use green in the bedroom. Now, as I say that, I painted my bedroom green and I love it. And it's a really muted, foggy green. And I think it's beautiful. And I know that's the wrong color for a bedroom, but I really love it. And it makes me feel calm. So I'm like, that's okay. I'll deal with it. But in general, you don't want to introduce green because, and plants, especially living bright plants, because it gives your subconscious a feeling that you're in the out of doors and you may be under attack, like there's a lion coming or something like that. And it's a restlessness. So you really want to avoid that in the bedroom. But everywhere else is great. And I think the east of your living room, regardless of your personal direction, the east of your living room is a really great spot for a big, happy, healthy plant. That's just it's a good activation spot for health.
I'll have to go check that
Yeah, yeah.
because all my plants
I know
are
I'm
in
always
my,
busting out my compass.
yeah,
My
exactly.
real one and my Marie Diamond one. I'm like, where do I put stuff? Um, it's fun. Okay, so the second one, do you have any questions on plants or wood element or anything like that? Well, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I have one Christmas cactus, but I'm going to keep that one because it actually is pretty lush and green and kind of round in shape. I did replant it, but it belonged to my grandfather. And when he passed
Oh,
away, he
yeah.
had all these Christmas cacti in his garage, and it's like 5 or 6 people just were given one. And so everyone says, like, is your Christmas cactus still alive?
Yeah, that's a beautiful reason for why it's totally okay to break the rules and because that is a piece of your family. And when you look at it, it makes you happy. It brings you joy. It feels lush. So there, it's serving its purpose.
Right.
And that you're looking at lineage and longevity. So that's a safe plant to have. I
Yeah.
just would recommend people go buy a cactus for decorative purpose and even say, like, not even to hang pictures of a cactus, but that, like, that kind of more lush looking cactus that has this personal family value, A plus. So keep it.
Yeah. Well, and just speaking about just general energy impressions that you get, when I was thinking about moving back here, I went into like 10 homes, and every time it was just like, oh, it was like, and then I walked into this apartment and I was like, whoo, like I literally felt like my soul jumped for joy, and I was like, okay, we're gonna live here for a while, even though like it might not be the best decision financially, but we're just gonna do it. Like I this is the first place I've walked into where I feel joy, and my spirit is like, we're gonna do some cool stuff here,
That
So
is awesome. I think people really need to follow their intuition like that and feel the energy of a space. And they don't even have to think about it that way. But just like if you take a deep breath when you enter a space, I mean, that's a good place to be in. So that's so smart.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or to be like, this is not the right thing to do, and you might not
Yep.
even know exactly why, but
You feel it. Yeah. True.
right. So next thing would be candles.
Yes. So candles bring in the fire element, and there's so much you can do with candles. So when you light a candle, you always want to leave it burning for a minimum of 9 minutes. It can burn way longer if you want, but like 9 minutes is kind of the activation amount of time. Um, and it's really nice to light a candle with intention. So as you light it, just kind of whatever it is, you say a little prayer, do a little meditation, set an intention, ask for something, whatever it is, and then let the candle glow and bring that warmth and light. And it's just, it's, the hearth of a home. It's, it's not fire in the way where it's like, oh, fire and anger. It's warmth and love and healthful energy. So, and the fire element does actually represent longevity, right? So that's what we want to keep that in.
You gotta have that fire burning.
You gotta have that.
Fire goes out, you probably don't be dead.
And it's great. Like, there's different directional placements. I don't want to confuse everybody with like northeast, southeast, but the center is always great. The center of a room is a great place for candles. Side note, I really encourage like all natural candles. I know we get these like really good smelling, branded candles and things like that that are fun, but they can have like hormone disruptors and things like that in it. So if you get like an all natural candle, clean burning, no paraffin, more of a soy or something like that. That's a preference. It's not really related to Feng Shui, but I think it's important for longevity. So
that was a side note.
Little side note.
Yeah.
Speak to your medical professional for advice on what candle to get.
Right. We're not responsible.
You can also burn incense, and Nag Champa is a really good clearing incense, and that's a good thing to do. Candle or incense for renewal. Like if you're about to clear a space and declutter or change or redecorate or just like I need to freshen the stale energy up, then it's a great time for a candle, some lavender spritz or some incense.
Or little sage smudge things, even though that's probably like a different process.
Right, yeah, but true. Yeah, that's a good thing too.
Yep, you have to smudge all your corners. So actually it was like funny, after we talked, I was like, I think I'm probably a little bit more into Feng Shui than I realized.
I think I think everybody is, because like the more you learn about it, you realize, well, this is just common sense. Because they talk about the flow and then, oh, don't put furniture here, put it there, and we can break all that down at a different time. But like when you put it all together, it's like, oh, so the living room is easy to walk through.
Yeah. Well,
You're not bumping into corners and getting hurt.
Well,
And
I'm a decorator. And when I was first moving in here, I was going to turn my couch the other way because it faces, like I have 2 window walls up in my living room.
Oh, right. Yeah. Like this.
So,
well, this whole room's a window, it's sunroom, but
yeah, but I wanted to turn the couch so that you could sit on it and look out at the Cape Fear River, or the fireworks or whatever. But she's like, no, you need to turn it this way so that the room is open. I'm like, okay, well, then you can't, like, I guess you could sit in one part of the couch, 2 parts of the couch and see. But if you're on the one, because it's a sectional, but it makes sense. But I'm like, well, maybe I could mix it up and see how it felt, because you could still get into it. But anyways, but
sometimes it's okay to break the rules, because then if your energy is lifted and you feel better in a space, then that's a better move. Like if you put your couch in the perfect power position because that's what Feng Shui dictates you should do, but you don't feel good every time you sit down because there's this beautiful view behind you that you can't look at, then enjoy the view.
Right. And so so that's a good way to put it. I did, when I got the compass, it was saying to have a water element like facing in a certain direction within the living room, and I have a frame television, and I usually change the art that goes through, and I was like, I'll just put up like a little ocean view, like the ocean waves, and I was like, I had 2 sails. I was like,
oh, that's awesome.
Bring on the
it works. It worked. Like you literally, you can believe it or not, but like when you change some placement and change stagnant energy and make an intentional choice like that, and what you did, that's an activation, right? There's placement, which is to get things in the right position, and then there's activation, which is putting an object intentionally in place for a certain effect, and then you got results like right away. So it's pretty exciting. Right. I think everyone listening should try to do a little trick and see if it makes a difference. So it's a good one. Go ahead.
Light more candles too. So
I
have this one here. This is my little purple candle. But when I was selling my
Oh,
home,
it's the best.
where I
It's
moved
literally the
here,
best color for a candle.
yep.
It's the best color for a candle. So you're winning. Yeah. And listen, if you have the other kind of candles and you want to burn them because they smell good, just you have my permission. And then the next time you buy a candle, get a nice clean one.
So
But yeah, let's move on to color because you should. Oh, go ahead.
no, you go ahead. I was going to say, so the candles are the fire element for longevity.
Mhm.
Oil.
Wood element is life force, which is the plants.
Okay.
And then we're going to talk about colors next.
Okay.
Because color is, yeah, I think probably one of the most fun parts of Feng Shui because, I mean, who doesn't love color? But I've seen a lot of, especially earlier on, people that would become a Feng Shui practitioner and they'd be like, we may paint it the north wall red. I'm like, oh my God, don't do that. Like taking everything so literally. So it's like, let's take a light touch. So I'll talk about the supportive colors for your health. The best colors for that are purple, emerald green, and white. So when you're thinking about doing these colors, now white's an okay color to kind of put all around. You want to think about like the backdrop being very neutral and calming. So this new minimalist look and natural tones is so wonderful in the Feng Shui world, but like creams and ivories and white and even browns and ambers and yellow and like a soft pink and those kind of neutral, warm tones as your backdrop. And then, don't paint your wall purple unless you really want to, because that makes you happy, then do whatever you want. But you want to bring it in with like pillows and throws and candles and decorative elements, artwork. And, so you've got your soothing backdrop and then you put your colors in to bring those elements in. And you want to be really cautious of doing like a monochromatic room if you're too heavy-handed with like particular colors, like green, going back to not being able to sleep at night, like an entirely green room is a lot of energy that brings so much life force that it can feel overwhelming and not relaxing. Blue, if you have like a fully blue room and everything's blue, and I mean like your couch is blue, the carpet's blue, the curtains are blue, I painted the wall blue, it's like you want to balance that out because blue can create, in heavy-handed like that, can create mood disturbances, depression, and that kind of stuff. So you want to lighten it up, bring some joyous colors in the mix. And red, I think, is the one you have to be the most cautious with. This is kind of an orange rust, and I love it. But I have two of these papasans in this room. It's a pretty big room. Everything's really neutral. And then the two nice sort of orange pops are, but with the color red, it's very fiery. It's very emotional. And I know people go, oh, it's passion. It's like, it is, but that creates arguments. It's great for hair. Yeah. We like passionate people.
Exactly. I don't create arguments, though.
Get a fire. You know a little bit about that. That's awesome. Yeah, but you don't want to decorate with red in your dining room because conversations happen over a dining room table and it can create a lot of tension and arguments. So you want to be cautious with too much red. But red, you can bring little pops of red in to bring a little energy and fire and spark. And, maybe you have a room that maybe you have friends over and you play board games or have lively debates and stuff like that. So it can bring a little dose of fun, competitive energy, but tread cautiously. If you have a lot of arguments in a space, review the space. Be like, why do we always fight when we're in this room? Then get rid of the red. But yeah, so the green, the white, the purple, and emerald green is just so powerful for health and longevity. Even bringing in, some stones or some jade sculptures or just in your artwork and that kind of stuff. And then the purple, I always visualize it in shades of lavender. I think it's because lavender is such a good activator, like the scent, the smell, and using it. Actually, I just ordered some Myers cleaning spray, the lavender. So when you prep a space and you're decluttering, you want to clean it with lavender cleaning supplies to just renew and refresh it up and spray the spray and all that kind of stuff. But
well, see, I used to do that with my kids when they would go to sleep. I would always spray their pillows with lavender spray. and then they would
I
go
hear it's
to
good.
sleep. And I was like, this is a special spray to help you relax. But they still like, when they come over, they're like, where's the spray? So they
Oh,
give
even
us,
when they come visit grown,
yeah,
they're like,
yeah,
where's my special spray, my magic sleep spray?
yeah. And my
But
mom has it. My mom has it at her house too. So
I actually have some right here on my desk because right before the call, I was like, oh, let me get some fresh little lavender energy going. Yeah, it's so powerful. And a lot of people will buy lavender candles too for the smell. And then for white quartz is a really big activator. For uh, attracting health and renewing a space. Yes. What are we, a couple of witches? What are we doing?
I don't know. I don't know what this is. I've got a whole bunch of them over here.
Are you serious?
Or
But
maybe
it's
this
like
is that's the quartz.
yes,
That's
beautiful.
I don't know
And
what
it's,
that was.
if you're gonna have one stone, let it be white quartz. It's your all-purpose stone, but it's great for health and wealth and longevity and repels negativity. And it just kind of really, it has a really nice high vibration that's very positive and uplifting. So it's really great in a space. And when you're moving objects around and refreshing a space, you can like rinse your quartz off in salt water to kind of like refresh it, or spray it with lavender or something like that to freshen it up, because they collect and absorb a lot of energy. So you kind of rinse them off with the salts.
Yeah.
If you
And
want to do
then,
that, you
well,
could do
Marie
it.
Diamond said then you put them out in the sun to let them recharge.
Yeah, you can charge them in the sun. And some people even, and I've done this before, you can actually put it in your water to charge your water to drink. I don't really think it's great to do with white quartz because it kind of splinters up a lot. So let's go. Let's check
That's not going to contribute to longevity, Britt.
unless it's like polished or something. But yeah, um, fun things to do with crystals. But um, there's those are kind of the main three things that I want to touch on: was plants, candles, so wood element, fire element, and then color, the power of color.
Well, and
And
decluttering. I think the decluttering piece is the most for,
mm,
because I know I tend to pile up, and it's interesting because the Marie's app will give you like your energy number tip of the
mhm.
day. And she's
Oh
like,
yeah, I
go
love
through
it.
the piles of magazines. And I'm like, well, so you guys can only see this part, but I got to look
Right, you don't
at
know what's
the
off
books.
camera.
And
You
I'm
have no.
like, it's actually not that bad, but I'm like, what happened is it just took so much energy to move in here that I'm like, now I need to go through my closets and just like declutter them as well. And I need to deal with my storage unit, but I'm like, well,
Okay, this is one really good pro tip on the decluttering of space. Whatever project you choose must be completed by sundown. So if you have a large space to declutter, because you don't want to sleep on an unfinished project, it really that creates like toxicity. You want to have it completion. So you'll have to break it down into smaller tasks and be like, I'm gonna do, which I had to do in my office. I had like 45 boxes in my office. It took me like 2 years to clean out. And I would literally be like, it's a 2-box day. And I'd be like, here's my project, 2 boxes. And I would work on that because I looked at every single piece of paper. It was like, but whatever it is, like sometimes I don't have that much time. So I'll be like, you know what? My dresser's a hot mess. And so are both my end tables. So I'll just hit bedroom surfaces, dresser, and tables. And that has to be done by bedtime, before the sun goes down. So choose your job
yeah.
for when you have
Well,
the time to complete it.
and that's funny. I'd never actually heard that before, but it is in her book. And I was like, oh, so I guess I shouldn't start to clean my closet out at 9 o'clock. But I would finish it, or at least have it like be able to put it back in such a way that it wasn't like I was sleeping with it undone. You know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Because you
Yeah,
can
because that
keep
rule's
everything
tough
done.
on us, like nighttime warriors, where like, oh, this is my activation hour where I start getting into stuff, getting
Yeah.
all into tricks. Yep.
So you also had some other kind of like pro detail things. So what if someone is fighting an illness, or if they're struggling to reach their optimal health? What are some things to avoid?
Yeah, that's a good question. There's something called a poison arrow, which if you are struggling with an illness, if you have any beams, especially like an overhead beam in your bed that is dissecting your bed, that's called a poison arrow. So you really want to avoid that. And even if it's in other places. So something to think about when you're purchasing a home and looking at homes. And I know they look really beautiful, but it's like no poison arrows. However, let's say you have your big, beautiful home and you love it, and there's poison arrow just right over your bed. There's a couple things you can do. You can either move the bed or just paint it to match the ceiling. So paint it all white or whatever color you want, and you're fine. So that one you want to be careful of. The other one, which is going to be more an everybody thing, is TVs and mirrors. Because your TV screen in your bedroom, and I know no one has a TV in their bedroom, right?
Actually, I don't.
Do you really?
I
You
don't
don't?
have one. No, but I have a big mirror.
I have a TV in my bedroom for the first time in my life. I've had it for maybe a year. I've never had a TV in my bedroom in my life, but I do enjoy having it. However,
Usually, yeah, I've had TVs in my room. In fact, this is probably this is the second room. So I haven't had a TV in my room now for about 5 years. But it's to me, it's so that when you go into your bedroom, there's a thing called sleep hygiene.
yeah, yeah.
You save your bedroom for sleep, for sex, and for rest. And I want to, so that room is just for that. And then
Right.
if I'm going to watch TV, I want to be in my living room so that it's, and the same thing is like not, I mean, I've had to have my office in my bedroom before, but I would make sure that it was off in its own little corner. And, if it was too crazy at night with after a day, I had a screen that I could put like
That's perfect. Yeah.
But now, but my mom, and back with my mom, I was like, well, maybe I'll just do a 2 bedroom. She goes, make sure you have your own office because you want to be able to separate work from sleep. And I was like, great advice, Mom.
You do. She's dead right. Like you really need to separate those areas because they're polar opposites. But when you're if you live in a studio apartment, you're in a challenging space where you do have to have your office in your bed, just exactly what you said with that screen to divide it is like brilliant. That's what to do. But with mirrors and in your bedroom, you just want to be really careful that they don't reflect yourself in the bed. I know that can be fun sometimes, but not at sleep. So you want to make sure that you cover them. And a TV screen acts just like a mirror, as far as Feng Shui is considered. That's a flat screen, and it's also going to reflect. And the thing is, if you have an illness, it's going to double the illness. So it has a doubling effect. So you want mirrors and positive spaces where you want to double the energy, but in the sleeping room, absolutely not. You want to make sure that you have rest and you don't want to be doubling your illnesses. So all you have to do is throw a scarf over it. No big deal. It is not like that. You just cover it up. And I have a big full-length mirror in my bedroom, but I can't see it from my bed. Like it doesn't reflect. So I don't really worry.
If I'm in my bed, I can't see myself in the mirror. Like if I lay down, like in fact, I have to walk over to the mirror to see myself like in it, even though it's at the foot of the bed over my dresser. But I never see myself in that mirror if I'm in the bed. It's only if I walk
Even if you sit up.
I don't, not on the side of the bed I usually sleep on. And I think because it's a round mirror and it's a little bit off center. So I think even if I sit up, I'll check, but otherwise I'll break out.
And maybe it's like, it's not really a problem, but if you were to come down with something and you were really sick, you could just throw something over it until you got better.
Why doesn't it double health too? Why would the mirror only double?
Yeah, that's a really good question. I don't know.
That's we'll have to. If anybody knows,
project to research, because now I want to be like, okay.
It's like leave a comment.
It does in the living room, like it does in the living room with health, like when you in living spaces, maybe it's just a resting thing, like it's sleep is for sleep. So
all right. Well, if anybody knows, they can leave us a comment in those.
Yes, please do.
We'll get our answer. We'll continue this conversation.
And then there is one more little pro tip on that is the trash and clutter, which we've kind of addressed clutter, but like don't have an open trash can that you can see. You want your trash cans kind of out of sight, out of mind. Now I am not the kind of person that has a trash can like up inside a cabinet, because for me and my massively ADHD brain, out of sight, out of mind means I can't find it. It doesn't exist. And I'll just walk around in circles. But I have a step can that's covered and it's in the kitchen and you can't see it like in the overall view of things, but it's accessible. But you definitely don't want like an open trash can in your living room, dining room, in your like
and you see that's another like just general logical
thing. Like you don't want
Yeah.
to be able to look at the trash. So I do have a thin trash can. The only place it can go is in the kitchen, which is it's an open space with the kitchen and then the living room here. But it's tucked up underneath the cabinet, and it does have little lids that come down. So you sometimes people have had to look for it. So
Yeah. I would
it's
be
not
like,
that
where's
obvious.
the
But I can tell you, I when I was reading that book, it was like, don't put your trash can by your desk. And I've had my trash can, so I did two things. I moved my trash can over there, and I think now I'm going to put it in the cabinet that you say, because it's a recycle one. It's not like I just put paper in it, so I could just pull it out when I need it. Although 3 times a day I wanted to just throw something down in there, and I'm like, oh, now I got to get up because I moved my trash can over there.
I have a trash can right next to my desk for the exact same reason. It's always just paper. I empty it frequently, but I think it's better to be able to throw away, because when I moved it, same thing. I literally was throwing balled up paper on the floor and then gathering it up, and I'm like, there's trash all over my floor because I don't have a trash. What's better? So I got a very beautiful decorative trash can that I love, and I was like, it's gonna be okay. And I made sure you can't see it from the door, which I don't think is in the fine print anywhere of the laws, but it works for me. I'm like, well, they can't see it. They don't know. So it's fine.
Well, now I'm gonna have to figure out what to do with that trash can over there. But right now it is at least empty.
Yeah, that's it. Well, that's our little review on health and longevity. I don't know. Are we out of time? I can give you a couple quick on romance.
Yeah, well, first of all, I want this concept of poison arrows. I'd never heard of that before. Is the beam the only poison arrow, or are there like
No,
others?
there's other things, which are like sharp corners on your furniture, especially in like a high traffic zone that you might bump into, can be considered a poison arrow. Or if you have furniture like on an angle and not symmetrical, and there's a corner jutting out in a tight spot, like those are poison arrows. So if you have the choice, if you're buying end tables, and you can get rounded ones, even if the corner's rounded, that's a lot better. But just having anything that's going to jut out and stab you is a poison arrow, pretty much. Like, just to put it real logically, I could be like, oh, this is one and that one, but it's literally, if there's a corner jutting out to stab you, that's a poison arrow.
Well, it's not. That's one of the reasons I never have had a coffee table is because when I was a kid, I fell and cut my chin on a coffee table. But so I've never had coffee tables. In fact, I had two little ottomans when the kids were little that were really soft, that could be put together and then they could be separated to create additional seating. But
Really?
red couch.
Oh, well,
What did that work out? But but then the now I have a round ottoman, but it's the same thing. It's a fabric. It's easy. So
yeah, that's,
it's kind of anything sharp and dividing.
yeah. So poison arrow proof.
Okay.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. So yeah, so let's just talk. Let's do a couple of little things about romance, and then we'll wrap it up.
Sure. My favorite. Okay.
Which is
I think that
we
the
say
first,
what we really wanted to talk about.
I know. Okay, so let's get down to business.
Be like, and stay tuned to the end because that's when we really start talking about what we really wanted to talk about in the first place.
Yeah, that should be the prologue to all of your episodes, right?
But having love in your life is important for longevity because social isolation and loneliness is like a terrible thing right now. It's the equivalent of smoking a pack of cigarettes a day. That's
Oh,
how
wow.
social isolation and loneliness is to your health. So it is important. It doesn't have to be necessarily a romantic relationship, but you need to have family and friends and in your life. And if it leads to a romantic partner, then great. But if not, it's the same thing. So this could be just in the spirit of bringing love into your life and
Yeah.
other people. So
Yeah, and I'll just give like two really basic ones because they're logical and they make sense, and they're the biggest ones. The first one is make space. If you are sleeping in a twin bed, there is no room for a partner. Burn the bed, get rid of it, sell it. You make it a couch in the office. Get a bed big enough for
it's your teenager's room.
two.
Put it in the teenager's room.
Yes, teenagers get single beds.
You know what? Maybe that's why they put college kids in single beds. Like,
that's a good plan. There should not be room for two in the dorm.
but if you're an adult and you're
Yes, you would like to attract romance into your life, then you need to have room in your bed. even like on spaces like your shared sink area and the closet, and you just want to think about, is there room for someone to come into my life? And if there isn't, if you've got tight quarters and no space, then you're sending a signal to the universe like, there's no room. Nope, closed. Not going to do it. And you want to invite and welcome that energy into your life. So I think that is one of the most important things. And the other one is going to be placement and activation of items, which I would say, like when you're looking at artwork, and just like the video that attracted you to invite me on the podcast about the painting, because my original photo that was on the wall, and it was really large, was a Capricorn, which is a very like hardworking, industrious, go-getter, the goat, business-minded, world takeover, conquering kind of character. And I'm a Capricorn, and it's a solo. So you don't want solo photos, you want pairs. You want decorative items in pairs, even if it's like candles. 2 candles, please. 2 of this, 2 of that. And also that picture was a gift from my ex-husband, and we were both Capricorns. So it really wasn't doing good in the romance corner of my bedroom. So I took it down and I hung up a picture. It was a really cute, like painting of like a like little boy and little girl, like kind of like Holly Hobbie era, little drawing of him giving her flowers and kissing her hat. And it was just like super cute and sweet and doting. And I was like, that's what I want. I want a guy to treat me like that, So I hung that up, and it's worked out pretty well. So you want to just think about those.
You said I think the next day your boyfriend at the time came home and broke out with you.
Same day, the
You're like,
same day.
wow. Talk
The same day. It was literally like 2 or 3 hours later. He came over and just we'd been dating for a year. He lived with me. He had moved out just because his place was ready, which that kind of tells you a lot right there. He moved in with me because he was going to be homeless. And I was like, you got your own place. It's so good. Yeah, go team. And then I hung that, and he came over and just dumped me. He's like, I got what I needed. Thanks. And it was like so awful.
I had never thought about displaying things in pairs as to so that everything represents 2 people.
Yeah.
So it's kind of neat. But the other thing in the book, it was talking about not to have water in your bedroom.
Yeah.
Okay. So my room is like the furniture is like cream, the bedding is more white with some blue accents, and then I did blue wallpaper just because it just made that room feel cozy. And when I got it done, I was like, oh, I love like this room and this space. But I looked at the artwork that I put in there. I bought a print to go over the back that reminded me of water and the beach, but it reminded me of home because at the time I bought it, I lived in Fairfax, Virginia, where there is no beach. And I was like, that a beautiful blue, it complements the bedding, and at that time it put a pop of blue in there. And then I have 2 other paintings, but they both have water elements. So I was like, maybe I should just take the little 2 down. And because the only other thing I have in there is like a picture it's about family. It's a drawing of all the states where my families live with little stars.
Oh yeah.
Everyone, and it says #family. And I got like one for my mom and my mother-in-law for Christmas like a couple of years ago. So I was like, that one can stay, but maybe these 2 elements need to go. But the abstract water one, I might have to leave it up there for a while.
Yeah, I think those are good things for the office. But if you're bringing like your family and everything into a romance area, it might be a little.
Okay, so maybe I'm gonna have to move that.
So you want to think about maybe putting it somewhere more inspiring to think about, like the living room or the office, or even the dining room, because that's family. So that might be kind of a nice. And water is so powerful in your office space because it's an activator. But in other areas, it can bring a little emotional unrest, kind of like a lowered energy. which is so funny. It's tricky with a bedroom, right? Because it's like, oh, emotional unrest, or green. Whoa, too much energy. So you're like, oh, well, can I do blue and green together? Will they cancel out?
Or throw a pop of red in there.
Yeah, right. Yeah, just throw a red pillow on it. We're good. We're all balanced
Or,
out.
you have a pair of
Come
red
into my crazy house.
You switch out the red candles at night, and your person's like, oh, okay.
Perfect. Yeah, no, for that you want like kind of, you're thinking about like the rosy.
Most people are like, you're always so serious. I'm like, I'm really not serious. I can be, but this is, like I said, the funnest podcast I've done anyway.
I get really serious and professional too, I promise.
Yeah.
Not today, but
Right. Okay. Well, I think that's all I see that you wanted to talk about. So
yeah.
the people wanted to get in touch with you, like, or follow you on social media.
I would love it. I kind of live on Instagram, and it's Brit's business, like BRITTS_business is my Instagram handle, and it's the same on TikTok and other social media. And I would love to have people just kind of follow. I do fun little videos. A lot of them are feng shui, some of them are business building. I'm kind of trying to refine that. I think I'm starting to accidentally lean way more into the feng shui, but I always like to do like fun tips and experiences and stories and keep it fun. And
Yes.
also, if someone wants to,
You're like, I want a new car, so I'm gonna like take care of this car.
did you see that? I just did that post. Did you see it?
Yeah, but no, I saw it like last week or something.
Yeah. And that's so true. Like, to appreciate what you have to get more. Like,
Right.
why would the universe give you a nice car if you treat your medium car like a piece of junk?
Right.
You're like, you don't know how to take care of cars. You don't get one. I'm like, I am so good at taking care of cars. Look at me go.
I can't wait till I'm taking care of my Audi A3.
Yeah, exactly.
I love you. And
Yeah.
my car's name is Foxy, so I take care of Foxy. So
Oh, awesome. I love naming a car.
yeah.
I think it's the best. Of course, your car's name is Foxy.
Yeah. Well, the first one had a black Expedition. That car's name was Vegas. Then I got a white one, so I called her Pearl. Then I went down to an Edge, and I called her Mini Pearl because she was also white. And then we got
Mini Pearl, that's the best. Oh,
a white one. I got Olivia a white EcoSport, and we decided to name that car Spike because she plays volleyball and she's an outside hitter. And Davis had
perfect.
a car which was like a dark gray, so he called that one Smoky. And then I now have a gold Edge, and we call her Foxy. So
Nice. I love that. That's a great name. That's a great name. Yeah, mine right now is Blue Mako. Water, it's just moving through the traffic. But yeah. Also, if anybody ever wants to email me or send me DMs, I would love it. I would love to respond and give advice if they have any questions. Like, I will read and answer because I love hearing from people. So that'd be
email then.
Oh, it's I will do hello@nestawhile.com, and that's nest like a bird, NESTAWHILE, hello@nestawhile.com. Yeah, hit me up. I would love to get into it. If someone's like, I have this problem or this area is this, I'll be like, I got you, let's go.
Yeah, well, maybe I'll go make some revisions and tweaks and send you before and afters and see what you think.
Ooh, that would be so fun. I've been wanting to do before and after videos too. I think I'm going to start doing this. Everyone loves a before and after, right?
Yeah.
Because I took some pictures. My ex-husband was a real pack rat, and there were piles. Like, it's a whole new world. So I've got like the bank of befores.
That's why you were doing 2 boxes at a time.
Listen, it was real. Yeah, it was wow. Yeah. And he moved out and didn't take any stuff with him. He's like, you can deal with it. Cool. But there was a joy in the process, right? Because it was kind of like a good process to go through for renewal. So that was great.
Yeah.
Just like the boyfriend dumping me to make room for the right person. So
Yeah. Well, look what all that led to. So we'll just thank him for
yeah, yeah, we're good. It worked out. It worked out. I hung the right painting at the right time. I'm happy now. I'm good.
Well, thank you so much for being on the show today, and
Thank
I'll
you.
be in touch.
All right. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Thank you so much for joining me today. If you'd like to be a part of my community and continue to learn more about aging, age-friendly initiatives, and Alzheimer's disease, don't forget to drop by my website, MelissaBPhD.com, and grab your free Podcast Insider Guide. You can also join the podcast private community on Facebook. And while you're there, I hope you'll consider becoming an AgeWise member, because AgeWise members are invited to attend the weekly live recording of the podcast every week. If you found value in this episode, I hope that you'll hit the like button and please share it with someone else who might find it helpful. Hit the subscribe button and turn on your notifications, and you'll get notified every time a new episode is dropped each week. So until next time, be well.